Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm BRIC's Director of Communications, and I'm here to welcome you to Talent and Education Day. Whether this is the first session you're joining or second, third, fourth, what have you, we're really happy to have you join us. Today, you're here for Careers in Feature Film Animation at LAIKA. And today you'll meet LAIKA's lead creative recruiter, Tiffany, here, learning about the creative opportunities at LAIKA beyond just stop motion. So Tiffany, I'll turn it over to you
All
to
right.
start your presentation.
Of course. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for coming on a Sunday. I really appreciate that. So overall, this presentation is going to focus on, again, careers in feature film animation at Leica. As you know us first and foremost in stop motion. And a lot of people, there's a bit of mystery behind that. Like people, when they see us, they tend to think, oh, I'm not a stop motion animator. So what would I do at Leica? This presentation is to help you give you an insider view of how we approach our work and what we look for when we review applications for portfolios beyond stop motion. Again, my name is Tiffany Purkeypile. I am the lead creative recruiter here at Leica, with a focus on VFX and development recruiting. I have over 15 years of feature film, CG animation, and VFX production experience and storyboard experience. I started as a production coordinator, moved my way up to a manager. I got my foot in the door at DreamWorks just to get in as a receptionist. So I've been here for a while. I'm really excited to share that insight with you. Typically, I do this presentation with my creative recruiter, Marilyn, but she is not able to join us, but we still miss her. So let's dive in. Before we dive into the work, I want to give you an insider view of what it's like to work with us and what our studio culture is about. We are here in Portland. I'm a little bit more isolated, I would say, from the industry in Southern California and Vancouver, but we are the Pacific Northwest, so it's important to stay true to our roots and build a place where people want to be. So here we go.
We come from all over, from every corner of the planet, spanning across a spectrum of artists, technicians, and professionals in this industry. At Leica, we've redefined the world of stop-motion animation through a unique fusion of handcrafted artistry and advanced visual effects. As a filmmaker-led and filmmaker-driven studio, we are unified by an ambition to tell bold, original, and enduring stories. We believe that pushing the boundaries of filmmaking requires us to continuously challenge and champion every creator who walks through our doors. We're dedicated to our work and sustained by an admiration for each other. No one else does what we do. This is stop motion animation on a scale never before seen. We're committed to fostering an inclusive culture that values diversity of views and experiences, and invested in bringing collaborators who come from different cultures and abilities into our community of creators, providing resources for all to thrive. The deeper and more supportive we make our culture, the more impactful our filmmaking. Leica is for the dreamers, the creators, the ever inventors, the storytellers, and the story lovers. We walk a different path, and we invite you to join us.
All right. So before we dive in, let's talk about the production timeline, what that typically looks like here at Leica. We have a full end-to-end pipeline here at Leica, all the way from early development through post-production and everything in between. So here's a high-level overview of what a typical production timeline looks like here at Leica. Our early development process, which includes concept art, character design, scripts, and animatics, that can take up to about 2 years. We do not want to rush the story development process. That's really the guts and the foundation of everything we do. And then once we get greenlit into production from preliminary set builds, shoots, animation tests, and VFX, that could take up to 5 years. Making stop motion feature films is laborious, it is time consuming, but it's a craft that we love and it takes time. So to start off with, let's start with the foundation of our work and our process, which is storyboarding specifically. Every studio approaches their storyboards very differently. Pixar is going to approach their work in a certain way. Sony will. This is how Leica does it. So this is just very specifically through the lens of Leica. For us here at Leica, our storyboard artists are truly cinematographers. They create the foundation and direction for all of our work. Their work is typically a one-to-one match to what you see on the big screen. And I'm going to show that to you right now. And that's a little different. A lot of places, you'll have your content, the acting, and then you'll figure out camera in previs, right? And that's totally fine. It works for a lot of different places, especially for CG animation. But for stop motion, we have to be very specific, intentional with not only the performance and the draftsmanship and the range of styles that we're doing, but also the cinematic quality, the camera. Camera is incredibly important. So we'll talk about that right now. But overall, when you look through everything, so I'm actually going to play this right now for you and give you an idea of what our process looks like and what we look for. So as you can see, this is almost a one-to-one match to what you see in Kubo and the Two Strings. Our storyboarding style, as you can tell, there's a depth to it. It's highly cinematic. You get a sense of of this beautiful composition and framing and where that camera is always looking. Let's talk about the perspective and the depth of field. It's everything doesn't feel flat, right? You get a sense of there's elements in the foreground, the midground, the background. And what's great about this section, this is an entirely different artist. Every artist, your draftsmanship is going to be different. The way that you approach your acting might be a little different, but what is consistent here is the camera work. The perspective is correct. The composition is well done. There's a depth to it. I hope this is all making sense. I could just nerd out about this all day, but you get a sense of where that camera is, where there's a great sense of 3D space. It doesn't feel flat, like everything is one plane, if that makes sense. Everybody will use your storyboards as the foundation of your work here at Leica. Our storyboards will identify what we are doing on our practical stages. It'll show us what we're doing on our VFX in our VFX work because obviously there's only so much we can do in stop motion. We'll also create, what the camera is going to be, what the acting is going to look like. Everybody will touch these storyboards. So when I'm looking for storyboard artists, I would highly recommend that you have a range of styles and genres in your portfolio. It is very easy to say, oh, I like to do comedic work, which is great. But that means I can only place you in comedic projects. And think about Leica. Our stories range from there is comedy, but there's also subtle dramatic times. There's action, there's suspense. So within your portfolio, I highly suggest at least 3 examples of what you can do in comedy, action, and something suspenseful or maybe a little quiet, like maybe a sadder, dramatic piece. The goal is to show your range and versatility. So that way, when I see your work or another recruiter sees your work, like, oh, they could do comedy, they could do a chase scene. We could put them in any Leica project. So, let's see, let's keep going. So visual development. Once we have our script and boards in the works and in place comes visual development, which is where the look and feel of a project comes to life. Visual development, I'm going to be honest, it is one of the most sought after areas in production because design possibilities are endless. The idea for us is to feel out the world by exploring style, shape, color, and tone before designers and fabricators bring this world to life. And again, it has to be informative because everything we do is going to be handcrafted. So, when we are looking for visual development artists here at Leica, what are we looking for? Um, there is no single trait that we look for that makes or breaks an artist. When we look for visual development artists, we are pretty much looking for artists that have examples of the work for the projects that we are looking for or we're working on. So think of it like a Kubo was very different from a missing link, but that's where versatility comes in. I'm going to say this a lot throughout this entire presentation. Versatility is key. If you have visual development pieces that are just, say, anime or um I don't know. I always say anime. I apologize. No offense to anime. I love anime. But if you only have one style in your portfolio, then again, that means I can't cast you on a number of different projects that will have different directors, different art directions and aesthetics. So please think about that versatility when you build your portfolio. Um, that way, the more you can adapt and mold to different styles, the more opportunities you'll be able to find. Versatility equals hireability. So when we look at visual development artists, we're looking for visual balance and composition. We're looking for a depth of field and perspective. Even with this painting that you see right here, you get a sense of depth. Remember that depth of 3D space. Stylization, artistic range, and variety of style. We talked about that. Again, think about versatility and your hireability. Color and lighting, it's always important to have a really good sense of color theory, lighting, tone, shape language, and texture. Texture is really important because, again, everything will be handcrafted. So here, we have different productions here from Kubo to Box Trolls, Paranorman, and Coraline. All very different stylistic ranges. They have different aesthetics, different moods, different tones. But what is consistent here? So just take a look. What's consistent? It's the composition, it's the color, it's the attention to lighting and textures, and everything has a lot of detail. It doesn't matter what kind of project it is, we will still always look for detail, lighting, textures, and color. So please think about that. Elma. All right, and then character design, which is equally important and also, because these are the stars of our shows. So when we look for character artists, we are looking for similar concepts of range and versatility. Again, range and versatility. Think about the characters that we have created for Leica in the past. We always have humans. Please have some human examples in your work. Um, it's important for us to see examples of personality. So yeah, can you make a character that looks really cool doing a pose, but what's their character? What's their personality? How are they going to move through this world? That's your responsibility to determine as a character designer. Having a plain lineup of characters in their T poses with no emotions and maybe a different color of pants does not tell us who this character is and what they're supposed to represent. While these are important technical aspects that are worked through later in the process, the purpose of the design stage is to figure out who these characters are, the good and the bad, right? Our characters are flawed, they're not perfect, they are relatable. It's important to showcase expression sheets. Expression sheets are incredibly important to let their personality shine, not just the standard happy, sad, mad list. Think about nuanced emotions that humans have. And the more you pour into that, the more excited a recruiter is going to be when they see your work. As we start to transition into the world of boarding and early fabrication, we have to get familiar with the physicality of our characters. We want to see full poses in movement and in motion in your portfolios. Again, all different characters from different movies, all different stylistic choices. But what is consistent? We get a sense of weight, how they move, and what their personalities are. Once you land that first job, it'll be for a director or designer that has that vision in your mind. So again, that versatility is important because your job will be to bring that vision into life. That means you'll likely get tasked with work that may push you outside of your comfort zone in terms of relating to your personal style. And that's okay. The more that you can do that, the more that you push yourself out of that comfort zone, the better, more confident you will be with your work. To start to attaching yourself emotionally from your art and building professional boundaries so you can view your work from an objective standpoint. So that way, you're going to do this work. You might just feel so connected with it, but a director might see it and be like, no, that's not right. Back to the drawing board, literally. You have to detach your personal worth from the professional work. That way you can, again, look at it objectively, take that feedback and embrace it. All right, and so this is our jam, the stop motion animation. Our team looks for strong stop motion portfolios that have, again, examples of human performance that demonstrate your ability to translate nuanced animation into your work, an inanimate object. Again, this is something I'll touch later on. Really, um, study the content that your studios that you want to work at, what do they do? Like for us, we always have human characters. It's very rare for us to have weird, not weird, but just like, creatures, like made up creatures, right? I would highly suggest if you were a stop motion animator, please have a human example in your work. If possible, use an articulated puppet. Claymation and paper animation is great, but it's not the tools that we use. I understand that it might be very hard to get your hands on an articulated puppet unless you make it or you buy it, and that's not always accessible to everybody. So if you don't have one, cool. Try using maybe a highly articulated action figure or a sticky bones model. There are options. You just have to show that you can breathe in human action and emotion into your work. What do we want to see? I want to see quality over quantity. That means I want to see naturalistic performance and complexity with walk cycles, weight shifts, object lifts, and emotional performance. Um, Again, mostly human characters. I don't want to see everything in the kitchen sink. I want to see your highest, best quality stop motion at the first and front, topmost of your reel or your portfolio or whatever it is. But again, think about the complexity and the nuances of, I don't know why I do this when I talk to animation, of a human performance. Speed and pacing and a variety of content. Again, keep your speed and pacing in mind. So think about what speed you're shooting on threes, on twos, ideally ones. Make sure you note that in your work. And think about the pace of your reel. Again, strongest work first. Edit down shots that have like maybe 3 or 4 seconds of still work. Just make sure it keeps moving because often recruiters, not me, of course, I'll do my due diligence, but there's a lot of recruiters out there that on average, we will spend 5 to 10 seconds on your work. 5 to 10 seconds for us just to figure out if this person has the right work, the skill level that we're looking for, all of it. So make sure your strongest work is up on top and your work is moving in a good pace. And then comes video reference. We love seeing video reference. If you have your stop motion example and a little maybe thumbnail of your video reference of you or someone acting out the animation, that is wonderful. We love seeing that. We call them live action videos here, and they're used by our animators for every single sequence of our films. To be an actor, animator is to be an actor. So please get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable performing your own laughs. So to dive into this more deeply, I'd like to show you a video of Florian Pernell. He's one of our senior stop motion animators to talk about his use of labs in Missing Link.
Being an animator, especially at LAIKA, it's a lot more than just moving things around, a lot more trying to breathe life into characters and to convince the audience that they are watching a living and breathing entity. So I animated the scene where Lionel is running down the stairs, escaping from the army of Yetis that are running after them. When we get a brief for a certain shot, we would most of the time try to film ourselves doing the acting, all of that with a certain timing to make sure that was fitting the animation. The shot was pretty challenging. The stairs are very narrow, so Lionel's feet were longer than the stairs themselves. So couldn't use tie downs. I had to rig the character from above. When you work on a camera move, you have to make sure you hit certain marks, otherwise you're off focus or the camera move doesn't work anymore. But this is the beauty of stop motion.
All right. So fabrication, we have to admit it, fabrication is one of the areas that fascinates us the most about our work here at LAIKA. Our recruiters love looking for artists who are interested in fabricating for stop motion. So what does that look like? What does a fabrication portfolio contain, or what do we look for? So when it comes to fabrication, when we look for these type of portfolios, we want to see every detail of how you arrived at the final product. So say you are creating glasses to set dress into your scene. What did that visual development look like? How did you craft it? What materials did you use? What did you like? What was your process? Always document that step by step. The more that we can see your process, because you're not going to be over our shoulders explaining that. Make sure your portfolio, your resume, whatever it is very clear of how you came from a 2D design to a fabricated piece of art that I'm holding in my hand. So again, we want to see all the details. That way we can understand your techniques and skills, like what you were responsible for, especially if it's a group collaboration. This applies to every role within fabrication. So fabrication is kind of an umbrella for all different things that relates to puppet fabrication. So there's the puppets themselves, costume, hair, paint, model making, landscapes. Anything that is made by hand, that is part of our fabrication umbrella. So we want to see how well your pieces work together as part of the story. So if you're fabricating pieces that are going to blend in easily to the scene, can we see that? Or is it distracting or is everything a little bit distracting, which ends up distracting the viewer? So if you create like a little prop, it's great to show how it seamlessly integrates into the whole scene. So if you're able to show and identify how your work fits into a stop motion world, please use that. So the clip we're about to show you it just really nicely illustrates how the design and fabrication process works for our props. It starts with prop design, moving into model making, then mold making, scenic, and for this particular part, miniature lighting. So let's play this.
Well, sister, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna. Well, Whoa.
Isn't it wild? All that work for the little little light that's set dressed that you probably didn't even notice it. But there's a lot of work, love, and detail that goes into this work. And last but not least, visual effects. As a recruiter, this is my jam. I love VFX. I get a lot of questions about how VFX, what about VFX here at Leica and how we use it. A lot of people don't even realize how much VFX we have in our films, and that says something about our team. If the VFX is so good you don't even know it's there, then it's good. That's the jam you want. So again, we will do everything first and foremost in stop motion, but when it comes to telling bold stories where the sky is the limit, there are limitations in stop motion, and that's okay. That's where visual effects, VFX comes in. Our VFX team helps us tell stories. Our VFX team partners with the practical side of our work to help us identify what needs to be done in VFX so that way we can push what's possible in stop motion. So I have a VFX breakdown of Missing Link. Missing Link was one of the most ambitious VFX lifts in the history of Leica, with 1,400 VFX shots across an end-to-end pipeline. So I'm actually going to play this and talk over it for time's sake. But when I look for VFX artists, I am typically looking for a VFX artist that has VFX meets live action experience. And the reason why is because you are going to be crafting simulations, CG characters, assets, effects, water, all this, everything that you're seeing here into a stop motion world. So that photorealism means that it has to feel stop motion. Even though there's a stylization to it, it has to seamlessly blend into the stop motion world. So here's a great example of our practical stages, how we build a CG environment so that way the world feels deep and immersive. We will also add CG characters as secondary characters of crowds. Um, yeah, it would be impossible for us to animate a scene like that with 30 plus Yetis in a timely fashion. So that's where where the VFX side comes in. We will use it to push the boundaries of effects, camera, and emotional moments such as this. This is a great example of CG environment extensions. There are matte paintings. Again, even though it's CG, were you able to detect it? And if you are, I'm very impressed. But it has to feel like someone crafted everything. Again, Missing Link was one of the most ambitious VFX lifts in the history of like with 1,400 VFX shots. Um, And this was a big feat for us. That way we can build worlds like this that feel immersive, but also um, feels true to the stop motion world. This was an incredibly ambitious sequence from what I was told. I was not here for Missing Link, unfortunately, but this ice bridge, as you can see, this was a big VFX lift for us in order to integrate stop motion acting and animation into this very grand, big world. It is a partnership. This is VFX and camera working together very early on to determine how we're able to achieve this work. So, as we move forward, do's and don'ts. This is insider tips and tricks from your friendly Leica recruiter. So, when you submit your work for jobs, do create and update your LinkedIn profile. Think of LinkedIn as a great tool to not only put yourself out there very quickly, but also you can use LinkedIn to identify the studios you want to work at, figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then see the people that work in those studios through LinkedIn, and you can start seeing their portfolios. What did they have, and what does a portfolio look like for somebody who actually works here? LinkedIn is your friend, so make sure you have an updated profile to use. Researching the job and company, again, LinkedIn is awesome for that. Again, when we talk about our Leica's work, we are talking about cinematic quality. We're talking about seamless integration. So think about how we do our work and research that. Again, we are going to do things very differently from a CG feature film animated company. Have a polished resume. I don't need bells and whistles on your resume. I just need something that's very clear to read through. Make sure it's clear typos. Have somebody look through it with fresh eyes. You're going to need a resume anywhere you go. So just make sure you have something updated. If you're in school and you're like, Tiffany, what do I put on my resume when I don't have actual professional experience yet? Think about your schoolwork, your school, your projects, capstones, theses, films, group projects. That is your professional experience right now. Use that. Were you a production manager at a group project? Cool. You were a production manager on your film thesis with a team of 12 people or whatever it is. And when you put your work there, your experience, think about what you did, how how you did it, and why you did it. I was a CG modeler on my student capstone, and I created 23 assets in order to create a deep and immersive world for our film. You get my point. We can zhuzh that up as as we go, but think about what you did, how you did it, why you did it. And build a professional website and make it accessible. Again, I don't need bells and whistles. You just need to make sure your website is easily navigatable. I can find exactly what I'm looking for quickly because, again, I may only spend 5 to 10 seconds on your website before I have to move on. And make it accessible. If you have password protected areas on your portfolio, that's totally fine. But make sure you put that password everywhere in your application, in the resume, in your cover letter. Most people will not. There might be a mindset where, like, oh, if I don't put my password in, they're going to reach out to me and I get to engage with the recruiters. No, most people will not do that because they're looking through hundreds and hundreds of applications. Make sure your work is accessible because if people, I will do my due diligence, but I can't guarantee everyone else will. And I don't want your work to be passed over with something as silly as not having a password available. The don'ts. Don't use social media for your portfolio. This is just an opinion. I know a lot of people do this. A lot of people might disagree with me. I would highly recommend that you have a professional portfolio. And you also, I mean, if you have social media, like you use Instagram for your work, that's totally fine. But I personally would use Instagram or social media as like a way to engage with your audience and build that audience up. And your professional work separate. Again, my goal for you is to remove the personal emotional attachment from your work and create professional work, okay? Engage with your social media. That's how you're going to build that audience up. But your professional work is to show what you're able to do in a hireability standpoint. So don't submit applications for roles that are not a good fit. I will always encourage you to apply for roles that you have skills for, even if you don't have the years of experience. You're going to see a lot of job descriptions that will call for 3+ years of experience when you're out of school. Well, what are you supposed to use with that, right? Again, you're going to have your student work as your professional experience, but if you have the skill set, if you have the capability and talent, I would gladly bring on a junior artist that's going to need development and will have, there will be a learning curve, but that opens up the opportunities for so many different perspectives. So I highly encourage you to look past that and apply, but only apply for things that you have skill sets for. So if you're straight out of school and you're applying for a producer role or a director of technology, that's when that's not a good fit. And that's when I would tell you just to pump the brakes and be thoughtful about that. Don't forget your manners. I know this seems very silly and straightforward, but there is something to be said about manners. It is very easy as a recruiter to remember who was kind, who was professional and understanding and knows it wasn't personal. Those are the people I'm going to look out for. If they just didn't make it by a hair or just they didn't have something that somebody else had, I will track those people. I will look for them for I will look to them for future opportunities. And I have done that in the past. But if you're coming in rude, you're forgetting your manners, it is very easy to also remember people that were not kind. When I'm looking for artists, I'm looking for talent, I'm looking for skills, but I'm also thinking about the culture of our company. I'm looking for good humans who's going to embody our values, who are going to be empathetic and team and work well on teams. Because again, we are a community, we are a studio. We do not tolerate toxic behavior. So don't forget your manners. And most of all, don't give up. This is a very tough industry to get into. I'm starting to see an uptick with work and opportunities out from, after the strikes, after all that. But you have to be resilient. You have to have a thick skin. Don't give up. Just remember that if you get rejected for a role, it's not personal. It just might not be a good fit. But that's not to say that will continue to happen in the future. So please don't give up. Please be resilient. Um, and just know that there are opportunities out there. So with that, we are really excited to start hyping up our new next film, which is Wildwood, based on a novel by Colin Malloy. This is going to be a true love letter to Portland, and I have a little sneak peek behind the scenes footage for you. Wildwood, we will be releasing this year, October 23rd. This is our first production that we will be putting into feature films, or I'm sorry, into theaters since Missing Link. We're really excited. This is truly a love letter to where we live and the craftsmanship that we believe in. So I hope everybody checks it out. Till then, if you have any questions, or just if you're interested in what we have, I highly recommend you check out our career site anytime, read through some of the jobs, look us up on LinkedIn, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well. My name is Tiffany Navarro-Purkeypile. I have the goofiest last name. You will be able to find me, okay? So, and with that, hopefully we have time for questions.
Yes. Thank you so much for that presentation, Tiffany. Wildwood looks incredible. I couldn't believe that that was fabricated by hand.
Yeah.
Some of those characters, or all of those characters, really. All right. I'll go ahead and open up the Q&A. One question that we received from Annie, she asked, how many story artists work on a single feature film? Also, what do you look for in a story intern portfolio? Also, thanks.
Of course, yeah. So, I mean, let's see. I mean, it kind of depends. I would say we have about like 10-ish story artists that will work on a production. I mean, we have a really large story team, but typically they'll be on different development projects until those projects get set into green light. For the internships, what we look for, again, I'm looking for versatility. I typically look for ranges of genres. So again, comedy, an action sequence, like a chase sequence, and a dramatic, like suspenseful or a little bit more quiet sequence. But just remember to think about that camera and the composition and the depth. If everything's on all one plane, then that's probably going to be looked over. But just, do your best, but think about space and composition and versatility.
Great. All right. Our next question from Isabel asks, how does LAIKA work with international artists? I'm a visual development artist from Brazil.
That's a great question. The thing is, we're in stop motion, so we have to think of beyond the box and dare I say borders, when we're looking for talent because this is very specialized. So we, as a studio, we will sponsor visas for international artists. As long as we can get them and not to get too political, but of course, it's kind of tough right now with the administration that we have. I have to be honest, but because everything is changing a daily basis. But we work with a highly skilled immigration legal team that will help you go through the entire visa sponsorship, the process. We will sponsor you as a company. It's something we do. We believe in it. We believe in diversity. We believe in thinking about who we can bring into our studio. We'll provide relocation for the most part, but it is dependent on if we can get a visa for you.
We have a question from an anonymous attendee who asks, when adding storyboards to your portfolio, how do you go about properly crediting other people if they helped with part of the boards and you did the rest?
Oh, that's a great question. I would, if it's on your portfolio or your website, maybe like quick note on at the top of your slideshow, or just like as in within your description, like please note X, Y, and Z section was is to be credited to so and so. It might be pretty obvious, but just, I mean, that's something that I tell VFX artists, I tell story artists, if you have a little breakdown if and just calling out what you did, how you did it, that totally works. Um, oh gosh, I was gonna say something else. I think just something on your website is totally fine with that. Also, for story artists, when I'm looking at portfolios or online uh, portfolios, I would love to see clickable storyboards. I see a lot of timed out animatics, and that's great. If you want to have that on your website, totally cool, have it. But I would also encourage you having a clickable like slideshow option as well, because as a recruiter, I might not have time to watch a 5 minute sequence to get a sense of your work. I want to kind of just tap through it and really and I can quickly get a sense of what I'm looking for.
That's great advice. All right. Pivoting to character design portfolios, Jennifer asks, when reviewing character design portfolios, what makes you feel confident that an artist is ready for a production environment? Also, what is something you see in strong portfolios that is often missing in those that don't get shortlisted?
When I think what really pops out at us when we're looking at character design portfolios is a sense of weight and volume and like a volumetric aspect to it. And I know that sounds really vague, but like there is a difference with character designs that feel very 2D and flat and conceptual, which is great. That's how where we start, but when we're really starting to iterate on like what that character is going to do, how it looks, and how it's going to move, we want to see volume and like a good sense of weight, acting and performance, and a range of genre versatility. Again, we're saying versatility again, but a range, right? If you have something that's very one note, I'm going to say anime because it's just what I have, top of my head right now. If you just have one type of character designs, that's going to limit you, right? So again, versatility and get a sense of like, can you do a turnaround? Is your work going to be informative enough for somebody to craft it so it's an actual puppet?
That's great. Speaking of character designers, I know we answered a similar question with story artists, but Miranda asks, how many character designers work at the studio at a time, Tiffany?
Well, it's funny when we're in development, which we are, we have, we work with a number of different directors here at LAIKA, not just Travis Knight, but we are working with the Copeland, Justin and Chris Copeland. We're working with Sam Fell and Victor Maldonado and Alfredo Torres. They will have at least two character designers assigned to their work at any time, just kind of iterate and conceptualize until we get into green light. So once we get into green light, we may just have like a principal character designer, maybe two supporting. It's it's very competitive. I will say it's a very competitive field. So again, that versatility will help you.
All right. Um, Going back to internships in particular at Leica, do you give priority to seniors and recent grads for those?
That's a great question. So when we look for interns, we will typically look for people that are in their junior year, senior, about to graduate, or they recently graduated. And the reason is that the goal is even so if say you're a junior, you have to go back to school that following year. That's fine because what we're trying to do is start develop like a artist early on. So, typically we won't go for freshmen or sophomores, and it just is what it is. But that's why if you are one, that's why it's important to do these things so that way you get a sense of what you need to aim for once you get to that junior year for sure. We will also consider recent graduates. So if you have graduated within the year, like you graduated in 2025, I will still consider you because I understand that this industry is tough. There was a strike, there was a pandemic, there's all these things that even though there was a couple years ago, it still resonates to this day. So we will consider anybody who's recently graduated and who has not had an opportunity to get to land professional work. Even if you even if it's a year and a half, that's okay. It's the people that like graduated last year and had 3 internships, then you're not going to be eligible. I'm looking for people that need a chance and a foot in the door.
That's great. Robin asks, are you interested in seeing the behind the scenes work that goes into that stop motion animators have?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Are you interested in seeing the behind the scenes work for stop motion animators?
Yes, I mean those live action videos would be your behind the scenes footage. We love seeing that. Like K-pop Demon Hunters, for example, if you were on like Instagram or LinkedIn, you saw a lot of they were pumping out the content of the behind the scenes live action people of or action animator videos where they're acting everything out and then you see it like side by side. That's what we want to see. We love seeing that. And I think that's applicable to any animation job, whether it's stop motion, CG, or 2D, right? That's going to be your behind the scenes work. If you're fabricating, yes, we do want to see your process because again, you are not going to be here to explain it, right? So think about how, if you're in fabrication, how did you get from a 2D design all the way to that piece? Stop motion, how did you start? What was your reference? And how did you translate that into a human performance in an inanimate object?
Amazing. All right, we've got a fun question here from Aziz who asks, on a personal level, what really excites you when you're looking at work? Is there something recently that got you totally geeked?
Totally geek. I mean, listen, I love animation. I love art. This is what I wanted to do ever since I was a kid. Like I wanted to be a Glen Keane growing up, right? Um, when I get what geeks me out, I have to say when looking for an at for interns, when I find somebody that like say a story artist, and I find them and I just see there's something about when you see a glimmer of potential. You might not be 100% like you might need work, which is totally fine. It's acceptable, if not expected at this moment. But there's something when I look at a portfolio and I see that raw talent that I'm like, if I could just pair them with the right person, they're gonna go so far. I think what I geek out on is finding talent treasure. I tend to call myself a talent treasure hunter. And I'm able to like bring that into a studio and be part of that story. Like I love bringing in new artists. I love bringing in people that from marginalized genders, marginalized communities, people of color. That's where I nerd out on. I do, but I just love the content of our work. I also love nerding out, meeting my heroes, the veterans, the people that have done this work in the past, hiring people from ILM, meeting Tom Bancroft recently from Disney. That's the beauty of this work. I'm very honored to be a part of this work.
I love that. It's super inspiring to hear. Um, I know we're running right up against time, but I do want to maybe end on this last question from Miranda, who asks, what's the best way to get on recruiters' radars at LAIKA? Is it okay to email or message recruiters on LinkedIn? What do you recommend, Tiffany?
Yeah, yes. And I will say like I'm just gonna own my nonsense. It is very hard for me to stay on top of LinkedIn. Like I get a lot of messages. I do my best. So if I don't get back to you right away or a recruiter doesn't get back to you right away, do not take it personally. It's most likely us. Like we just get bogged down. And typically when I do find a message, I'm like, oh, I want to respond to that. I'll leave it on unread so I know to go back to it. But feel free to reach out to people on LinkedIn. It's 100% okay. As long as you're just being polite. If you have an email, go ahead and use it. Just understand that, I might not be able to get back to you right away. And again, it is not personal. Take the personal side out of it. I promise you. I'm not seeing your email. I'm like, oh God, I'm not going to respond. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to respond when I can.
Love that.
I
Thank you
hope
so
that
much
helps.
for all of this great advice, Tiffany. Thank you for offering folks to find you on LinkedIn. Do you have any last words for all of our attendees today?
I really appreciate your time. It's a Sunday. I hope this was helpful. I'm really excited to see a lot of you. I'll be at Afro Animation this coming April. I'll be at SIGGRAPH in LA and Lightbox later this year in October. And I'm really thankful to see a lot of very familiar names within the attendee list. I see Emilio, love you. Your work is still beautiful. I see a lot of people like I know, so I'm really excited. And I would like to call out John Hogan. I see you, John. John Hogan was my story artist teacher when I was going to college. So again, I want
Oh,
to also
wow.
really note that in college, your professors, your faculty, that is your first network. So be like, please listen to them when they're telling you the same things I'm telling you. Listen to them. I know it's kind of hard, but I'm just thankful to be here. Mr. Hogan, I hope you're proud. But yeah.
I'm sure he is. Tiffany, thank you so much again for joining us today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope
Thank
that
you.
you'll catch our next session um, at the BRIC Summit.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, all.